Release the Snyder Cut next year. Red Nation, what is going on? Akasan here. And hey, we have some crazy news within the DC camp going on. This is according to the Hollywood Reporter, and it has been spread all across the internet right now as I have been waking up to constant messages. Akasan, please make a video on this. Make a video on this. Share us your thoughts. Zack Snyder's Justice League is kind of real, and as we kind of already knew, but it's actually going to get released. Here's how it's going down. It will be an entirely new thing. Zack Snyder's 20 million plus Justice League cut plans have been revealed from the Hollywood Reporter. This is going to be actually released. So as you guys already know, the Justice League was put out 3 years ago. And it was kind of a smorgasbord between Zack Snyder and Joss Whedon. And Zack Snyder departed in the project, or quote unquote was fired from the project due to the low critical receptions of Batman v Superman, Man of Steel, a few other projects that it just wasn't working out. And so WB let him go. And they tried to, in the middle of it all, essentially repair the damage done of the kind of moody-ish Zack Snyder vision and try to bring in more of the Avengers type feel with the guy who directed the first and second Avengers. Didn't work out as planned. Did one of the lowest ranking and lowest profits of the DCEU. But there was always the Snyder Cut in the back of people's mind that wasn't finished, but people just wanted to see it. They wanted to see what the original vision had been, as it originally left on a cliffhanger anyways, according to Kevin Smith. Now, luckily, I will just tell you the gist of it. Back in November, the main dude of WB called up the Snyder family around 7 a.m. And they just, it was the second anniversary of the release of the Justice League. And people who have been really asking for something more wanted the Snyder Cut to be released. And finally, WB was like, hey, we have the HBO Max thing coming out. Would you guys kind of be interested in doing something like this? And this is exactly what's going to be happening. So it's not going to be what was originally planned. It wasn't going to be a movie that is being released. They're going to actually be releasing a 4-hour, possibly 4-hour cut, 6-episodic type situation, which I think works very, very well for Zack Snyder. I think for a lot of people, I would have to say a good amount of people, Zack Snyder works well in doses. And so an episodic release would be much easier, I think, to digest over time. And this is going to be released on the HBO Max, which is actually launching next week. But it's expected to debut in 2021. So it is unclear what form Snyder's Justice League will take. Whether it will be released as an almost 4-hour director's cut or split into 6 chapters has yet to be decided. But the Snyders are now in the midst of reassembling much of their original post-production crew to score, cut, add new and finished old visual effects, and yes, maybe bring back many of the actors to record additional dialogue. Very interesting indeed. It is also unclear the cost of this endeavor. One source has pegged the effort in the $20 million range, although other sources say that the figure could be closer to $30 million. The parties involved had no comment. Zack Snyder says, it will be an entirely new thing, and especially talking to those who have seen the released movie, a new experience apart from that movie. I like that idea. So it's not necessarily shitting on the original Zack Snyder. He's not necessarily shitting on what was released in the theatrical version, but just saying that, look, this is going to be the added version. Very similar to the way the kind of Clone Wars is supplemental material to Revenge of the Sith. Now, He said that you probably saw one fourth of what I did. The director notes, basing his judgment on what people have shared with him of Whedon's version. And then this is one of the most interesting things that I enjoyed the most was the president here. Before Emmerich came calling, says Snyder. I always thought that it was a thing that in 20 years, maybe somebody would do a documentary and I could lend them some of the footage, little snippets of a cut no one has ever seen. But as Deborah adds, with the new platform and streaming services, you can have something like this. You can't release something like this theatrically, but you could with a streaming service. I 100% agree and am very happy that they went down this route. It's an opportunity that that wasn't there 2 years ago, to be honest. This is true. This is that's basically it, guys. There's a lot more information on what's going on behind the scenes and what have you not, but that is the deal. Now, one thing I do want to bring up because a lot of fans have already been messaging this to me, is they feel like the bullies have won. I agree. I kind of agree with why they feel that way. Like the bullies have won, and this has been constant harassing online everywhere you go. Every time Warner Brothers released something, every time AT&T put something out, there was always released the Snyder Cut, and just harassing every time a new movie came out. Shazam. Wonder Woman, I'm trying to think, even Aquaman, there were always these Snyder Bros up there. However, I always feel like that there's always going to be that subsection of fandom, that toxic fandom, people telling you to fuck off and drink bleach if you don't agree. I think there will always be that, but I think what we would have to focus on is the less terroristic side and the people that were campaigning for charity, the people that were professionally, like Ray Fisher and David Ayer, going out there and respectfully requesting that Warner Brothers release the Snyder Cut. So I think that's what you got to focus on. And Twitter is always going to be fairly toxic in general. The best thing I hope for, though, is the fact that now that it will be released in a streaming format, it doesn't mess up DC's plans of their better films coming out. Wonder Woman, we got the new Batman coming out, Aquaman 2, the Joker stories. I hope that that toxicity will be neutralized and it'll essentially feed the trolls, not feed the trolls, but just keep that toxicity down a lot more online. Because look, okay, you got it. Here's the cut. And my other concern is the fact that originally the Zack Snyder's Justice League was going to end in a cliffhanger introducing Darkseid, but I hope in releasing this Snyder Cut, we don't have people campaigning to rehire Zack Snyder for a Justice League 2, a Justice League 3, because obviously that particular vision wasn't what was working, and obviously the vision that we're having now is working a little, I would say, well, Aquaman, made $1 billion? Much better. So that's definitely my thoughts on that. So I don't think the bullies necessarily won. If anything, I think Warner Brothers, hopefully they don't lose money with this particular cut. And I do worry about what other show could have been on HBO Max. I hope this doesn't affect the Green Lantern Corps, HBO series, and I worry about what other series could have had that 20 to 30 million. But I certainly hope that they make their profit back with their streaming service. I certainly hope so, because that's all the best we can wish for the WB. Now, all that being said, I'm glad it's finally coming out. We got to wait till 2021, though. But I think 2020 can kind of take a release on all of this. All right, guys. Well, let me know what you guys think. Are you excited about this? Do you even care anymore? Does it pique your interest? Is it something that yeah, do you care? Let me know below. And how do you think this is going to affect things go in the future and WB in the future? I think it's great for their streaming service, and I definitely want it to be kept on the streaming service, especially episodic and not a full cut, because getting through some of Zack Snyder's work over 2 hours or so is a little bit of a brain drain. So episodic would definitely be great for me. Let me know what you guys think below. We out.